We're getting to the point where we're not going to be able to continue to do what we're doing, and our food supply is at risk.
We are the primary producers. It starts with us.
Our fuel bill is around $3,400 to dry our corn, and the carbon tax was $3,200.
If you do some research and look into it, terrible things are still used in some of these countries that we're buying from.
Well, I think we got great reaction. Everybody seemed very supportive. We had lots of honk. Everybody was waving. It seemed pretty good. I was pretty happy with what we seen today.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Pickering, Ontario, and this is the last stop of a tractor convoy. The farmers are still furious about what happened last week on April 1st, namely the increase of the carbon tax. So in a demonstration that began some 3 hours ago in Kawartha Lakes area, they had a convoy of these tractors, and they dropped by 3 Liberal MP offices to deliver a copy of this letter bemoaning the carbon tax and what it's doing to their business and how it's affecting consumers.
We have a letter for each of the MPs. We're just going to make a 10-second stop, hand it off to someone on the sidewalk so they can take it in and actually deliver it to the MP's office. And we don't want to hold up traffic, so we're just kind of basically keeping rolling, and that's how we're going to do it.
And of course, the Justin Trudeau Liberals, as transparent as always, they came out and greeted them warmly and talked about the issues with them. No, they didn't do that. They locked the doors. They wanted nothing to do with it. It's the fringe minority, or if you're in the U.S., I guess, the basketful of deplorables. But, they make a very interesting point. The letter reads that Ontario alone represents more than 48,000 farms and provides work for 836,000 workers. And folks, I can tell you, going back to April 1st when Lincoln Jay and I went to Uxbridge to talk to the farmers at that protest, so many are bemoaning that they can't make ends meet. It's not because they're inefficient. It's not because they don't know how to work the land, but the costs are going up. Labor is going up. And worst of all, taxes are going up.
So not only are we fighting climate change and reducing emissions, but we're putting more money back in the pockets of families, particularly in low and middle income families across the country.
Now, the federal government surely can control the tax, but Justin Trudeau says he is a fan of the carbon tax to save Mother Earth and, of course, to put more money back into the pockets of regular Canadians via the rebate. I don't think many people are buying that.
The NDP Trudeau carbon tax on the farmer who grows the food and the trucker who ships the food is a tax on all who buy the food. Now they want to quadruple the tax. I'm Pierre Polyev. I'll axe the tax so you pay less and bring home more.
In any event, let's go out into the crowd to talk to some of the farmers and find out what they are hoping to achieve with this kind of convoy.
We're dropping off letters to the 3 Liberal MPs, our official farm organizations, whether it be the Grain Farmers of Ontario, Dairy Farmers of Ontario, Chicken Farmers of Ontario, Ontario Beef. They've all been negotiating and talking with the government on what this carbon tax is doing to the grocery bill.
This is raising the cost for us so much that we're getting to the point where we're not going to be able to continue to do what we're doing, and our food supply is at risk.
We're already suffering under the carbon tax, and he keeps hiking it up, Mr. Trudeau. It's going to get worse and worse, and it doesn't just affect us, it's going to affect everyone in the country.
Everything gets passed on, and as it gets passed on, it just keeps increasing and increasing and increasing, and it's getting to the point where it's making it very hard to have much left over at the end of the day.
Farmers are long-term thinking people. We don't think just tomorrow, we think years down the road. And we want to know that years down the road, there's going to be something for our children.
We are the primary producers. It starts with us. And then the tax just gets added on, and it's exponential by the time it gets to the average consumer's grocery bill.
Everyone needs to wake up. Everyone needs to take a stand and have their say and express their freedom of speech and just say what's really on your mind. And these politicians, they have no idea.
If it no longer becomes viable to farm, people are obviously going to get out of farming. We're going to rely on food imports. Is that really the road we want to go down here in Canada?
Definitely not. We have some of the safest food in the whole world. We can have products brought in from other places, but we do not know how they've been handled. We do not know what's been sprayed on them. If you do some research and look into it, terrible things are still used in some of these countries that we're buying from. We know what we're doing here. You can see what we're doing here. You can come out, you can visit, you can talk. Right? We have agencies that control us that we follow along with, and we're going to make a food that's safe. If we cannot produce anymore, we're out of our livelihood. My next generation can't follow along behind me, and yes, and we will disappear.
If you ask the Prime Minister, he's saying two things. One, this is about saving the planet, and secondly, this is about actually putting money in the pockets of Canadians.
8 out of 10 families across the country in federal backstop jurisdictions make more money with the Canada carbon rebate than it costs with the price on pollution.
Are you buying that?
I'm not buying that at all. Well, I buy it. They're putting a nickel in the Canadian's pocket and taking 10 cents out.
No, I'm not buying that argument at all, no.
He's just giving us pennies back and he's taking hundreds of dollars. It doesn't make sense.
What we're hoping for is the general public support that, okay, yeah, we know what's happened to you at that checkout counter. It's starting with us. We can't deny it, but our hands are tied. We can't do anything about it. So we're hoping that it motivates the consumer to support us. And the other thing, and this is a pipe dream, but they know what's going on in Europe. So the other reason we're out here today is just to make them aware. We are not rolling over and playing dead and going to keep this shoved down our throat. You can see what farmers can do, and we are quite capable of doing it.
I think it's a lot more at play when it comes to Mr. Trudeau. Rolling back to WEF and what they stand for, it seems like he's going with their values, and that is not good. That's against human population, really.
Will this, move the needle in terms of getting, I guess, empathy from the government to reverse or freeze these carbon taxes?
I guess we'll see. I don't know how much pressure Pierre Poilievre can put on the government, but he can definitely speak up for us, and he has been. He called for this protest, and I'm kind of calling him out, like, come on down. Because this is your protest, you called for it, and we answered the call, and we're going to keep going. We're in it for the win.
Really brings a lot of awareness, and I know with Petition E4701, they have used its context a few times in the House in their arguments and in their debates to get their points across. It does show them the true numbers of what Canadians are asking for and the ones that are standing up.
In the end, it is going to make a difference. We saw it with our convoys in Ottawa that we were noticed. People around us would see what's going on. We need to make the folks who are living their normal lives around us aware what's happening. They may not feel like we're end producers. We eat this cost. We cannot pass it on.
I do believe that Canada needs this change, and we need Pierre Poilievre to be the next Prime Minister in order to get our books back together and get Canada back on the track it needs to be.
I think we're going to have to see a regime change. I believe that the current government we have now, they're pretty entrenched in this. They believe is the correct direction to go. I believe they're out of touch with the folks that live in this country, who produce in this country, who have to pay in this country. They're giving themselves raises continue that we cannot give ourselves. So I think we should see a change in leadership towards a group that wants to, again, work with the farmer and understand that we are the grassroots. We are the people who will actually produce the food. We're the ones that take care of the folks here in the city, etc. And then we need to be able to have the power to do that.
We have taken the steps to be more efficient, more environmentally friendly, and we're not getting any credit for it.
As long as money's in his pocket, he doesn't care. And everything he says is just a lie.
Well, folks, the farmers have spoken. Stop the carbon tax, and we totally agree. This is an unnecessary levy during a time when so many Canadians can't make ends meet. If you feel like we do, please go to our petition. StopTheCarbonTax.com. That's StopTheCarbonTax.com. Sign your name, and if you're able to, make a donation so we can continue to bring you the other side of the story.